we get underway, a few matters to just run over. First, I'd like to welcome everyone to the November meeting of the Irondequoit Zoning Board of Appeals. The fire exit is located to your left. In the event of a fire, you will be notified by an announcement. If notified, please move in a calm and orderly fashion. Do not use the elevators, use either the north or the south stairs to leave the building. The meetings are being recorded by our Secretary, Michelle, for the purpose of a record, not a verbatim transcript. To help her when you come to the podium, would you please identify yourself with your name and your address, and speak clearly into the microphone so everyone can hear you. We follow the items in the order that they appear on the agenda. There are extra copies of the agenda on the table to the right of the door as you come into the room. Once the case has been called, the applicant or their representative will come to the podium, identify themselves and state their address. Then they'll pause for a moment, raise their right hand, I'll swear them, and then they will present their case. During the presentation of their case, members of the board may have questions or comments for them, and that process continues until everything that anybody wants to say has been said. Then we'll open the meeting up to public input. There are three categories of public input: those who wish to speak in favor of the application, those who wish to speak in opposition to the application, and those who aren't for it or against it but just want to talk to us about it. If there's another category that anyone comes up with, we'll deal with that too. But we'll take those in the order. Anyone who wishes to participate in the public input portion just needs to line up on the west wall, and we'll take them in the order that they wish to speak. Once all the public input's been completed, we then reopen it to the applicant to readdress any questions or things that arose during the public input portion. Once that's completed, the case is closed and we'll move on to the next case on the agenda. After we've completed all the items on the agenda, we take a brief break and then come back to deliberate on the cases. During that portion, there is no further input unless the board seeks it. We'll take the cases in the order in which they appear on the agenda and for which the applicants are present. Tonight we only have two cases on the agenda. I expect the break to be brief, and if both of you stay, we'll do them 1 and 2. If one of you leaves, we'll deal with the one who's here first and then deal with the other. All right, we'll call the first case.
First case on the agenda is case number ZB 1511-1. Upon the matter request by Roberta Porter for an area variance to install a 6-foot-high dog-eared fence on a through lot exceeding maximum permitted height on premises 6 Baycrest Drive in an R1 residential district.
And you are?
Roberta Porter,
And you live at,
6 Baycrest Drive.
if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that everything you say tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
Okay, so have all surrounding area, no privacy. You know, I have a deck thing like on the front, but everybody sees me. And I want to go behind the house, behind the garage, and just do like a little nook with a 6-foot fence. I was going to do the dog ear, but I want to switch it to a prettier, you know, it's a little bit of slope, but
A scalloped top?
yeah, just a little. This way here, it's a pleasable to everybody. And you guys, I don't know if you got all the paperwork, but I have one more letter from the neighbor next connected to me, you know, the fence.
Neighbor immediately to the east?
Yes.
Okay.
So she did agree that
Her yard also goes through, right?
yeah. She has a 4-foot chain link all the way around, but
So you're
she-
looking to connect the wall, north wall of the house, you'd be following that over to where the
fences.
west wall would carry up from or the east wall from the garage, right? Basically, you're gonna
Just that, I got a picture. I don't.
square area, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which it's hard to see, but just from this over to the fence, it's a little I don't know if you want to see them.
I guess I have a question. Why we're doing this, and I guess I'm kind of answering my own question. They call this a through lot, Michelle?
Well, mine's-
Even though it doesn't actually go all the way back to Newport Road, because it looks like her lot line,
I do.
and
I go
you kind of go off to the
Acrest,
side.
I go all the way around Newport, all the way around. So they
North
told
lot
me,
line is, the right of way is
Right away?
beyond it, yeah.
Okay, all right. So, even though she's not taking the fence all the way back to that lot
oh,
line,
no, no, no.
she still needs permission for a 6-foot, even though it's behind the house.
Because they said I have no backyard, I got 2 front yards.
Right, okay, all right. That makes sense. Thank you. Yep. But that technically is your backyard. Well,
Did you want this letter too?
it's her front yard with the back of the house. But there's no houses behind her, that's all just slope and
No, there's houses,
There's houses on the other side
on
of
the other side of the
Newport.
street, but
yes.
not
No.
on your side. Right.
No.
And submitted with the application was indications of approval from the neighbors at 105 Newport Road, 77 Newport Road, and 93 Newport Road. And we have a letter
15.
coming down the way from the neighbor immediately to the east on Baycrest Drive. What number is that?
15?
From 15 Baycrest Drive.
I think it's
Anybody have any questions or comments? All right. We will open it up to public input. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak in favor of this application? Step right up.
My name is Pat Waring, 26 Baycrest Drive. First of all, I'd like to know the reason for this ordinance.
I'm not sure that we can answer that question for you, other than the town years ago, when they created the zoning ordinance, created certain restrictions, and for through lots, that when they're looking at, the process basically is this: when they create the code, they look at things as they think they're most likely to come up in a normal sense. And they make rules and regulations that they think will benefit the neighbors in that district and neighborhood and be of benefit to the town. And one of them is dealing with the heights of fences and where you can put fences, so that the town doesn't end up looking like a string of connected fences in some places with no open space and things like that. One of the concerns that they had was that on through lots, what people might do with the portion of the lot that otherwise might be built upon in other circumstances, and whether they would be using it for things that might not be compatible with a residential neighborhood. And fences went in with part of that. So the reason that this board exists is because there are circumstances where those rules and regulations don't really fit the actual circumstance.
Okay.
And we are allowed to grant variances or exceptions, and people can ask us to do that if there's a practical hardship for their property. For example, Ms. Porter has no privacy in her yard. And what she's asking us to do is to let her fence off a small portion of her yard that isn't really going to affect the neighbors, and it's going to give her a little privacy, and she's going to do it in a way that isn't going to have a big impact on the neighborhood. There are other rules that also apply to residential neighborhoods, like you can't park construction trucks or dump trucks or things like that in your driveway. You can't build things too close to the road or to the lot line. There's all kinds of rules, and they're all designed to promote and maintain a neighborhood atmosphere in the area. So that's why the rules exist.
Okay, so
Does that
there's,
answer your question?
yes, it's,
Okay.
so, it's not a safety issue then? I mean, she's on a bend, but it's not a safety issue at all, is what you're saying?
No.
It has nothing to do with that?
Well, where she's putting the fence wouldn't pose a safety issue. If she wanted to run the fence along continue the west side of the house up to, say, where her lot line ends and then come across, that might pose a safety issue because of the way Newport Road curves and goes down. But that's not what she's talking
But
about.
from my house here, it's gonna just go straight across.
Oh my gosh, that's
that
just a little...
Yeah.
Well, what I would like to say is that it's an awesome neighborhood. I moved from Texas 2 years ago. I've been on Baycrest for 2 years, and I love it. I love Arundecoit, but I'm also experiencing the same thing as Ms. Porter is, which is there are three of us that have, I didn't even know it was a through lot. I didn't even know it was an issue. But most of our neighborhood either backs up to woods, to cliffs, to the bay, and there's a few of us that feel exposed at the back. And thankfully, the people that had it before I did put in some bushes that have gotten fairly big, but I've got great big areas, and I completely agree with Ms. Porter that some of our properties do not afford us the privacy and the restfulness that the rest of our neighborhood has. And additionally, we're way off by the bay. We're on a no-outlet area. The only people that really go through there are, people that live there or are going down to, the marina. And most people have a lot of privacy. Most people have beautiful backyards. But, I had a beautiful garden, but I felt what Ms. Porter is feeling every time I was outside. I have no privacy because I have great big holes as well. And in our area, we're way off by the bay. It's hilly. We're going down to our backyards are on a road that only people going to the marina or to the homes down there. And the people across the street on Newport all get to look at either the bay or, a beautiful cliff area. So I would say we're not in a normal, it's not like the rest of Arundecoit.
Right,
And
well, that's why we exist, is to make the rules adapt or grant exceptions that will make your neighborhood as good as any other neighborhood in town.
so,
That's why I changed the fence to make it pretty. I didn't want it straight.
well, I would like to say that I would very heartily endorse and ask you gentlemen and ladies to consider heavily and vote in favor of Ms. Porter. She's done a lovely job. She hasn't been there all that long. She's a good neighbor. She's done a lovely job on her property. And I think that some privacy would be really well warranted in this case. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor of this application? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone who'd like to talk to us about the application? Seeing none, and since the only input was favorable, we'll close the case with respect to that matter and move on to our next case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next item on the agenda is case number ZB 1511-2. Upon the matter of request by U-Haul Inc. for consent of the board to allow outdoor equipment storage on premises 1106 East Ridge Road in a C business district.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Todd Schnitzer. I'm here for U-Haul at 1106 East Ridge Road. What we're looking to do is open,
Raise your right hand.
sorry,
You swear or affirm that everything you say will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
What we're looking to do is open up a additional facility to take some of the congestion that is at the facility down the street as far as our storage customers. This facility is primarily for self-storage customers coming in, But with self-storage, generally you need a way to transport your goods to get it there. So therefore, our truck rentals that bring that in would be the equipment that would be staged out back, waiting for the next rental to facilitate that storage move-in.
You say that it's going to be stored out back. Are you planning on storing any out in front?
You'll have display storage for a few smaller vehicles up on the front line to East Ridge Road, which at the planning board meeting, I had submitted some pictures that hopefully are in there that show it really doesn't block any view coming down the road. It's very minimal, smaller vehicles, so they're not infringing on the property itself to get in and out. We're also limiting extremely large vehicles not to be at this facility because it is a smaller lot, and it's more so for storage, not the truck rentals as the other location is.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Am I missing part of the application, or is it just one piece of paper
And the map.
and the map? This is the slightest application I think I have ever.
That's my,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Well,
That's all right. There's no letter or anything like that?
no, that's
Okay.
probably because this is an application for consent as opposed to a variance, so they're the only factor that's set out in the statute for us to consider is whether the public convenience and welfare will be substantially served and the appropriate use of neighboring property will not be injured. So,
Just, yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I wasn't
Didn't
missing.
you get
Usually
the-
there's a letter that.
did you get the big
comes
map
with it.
too?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
There's basically already, the spaces are there.
Correct.
You're just gonna occupy them with some box trucks or whatever.
Right.
Or vans and trailer or something like that out front to show it off.
Right. It's just a display up on the front line and then some rental equipment in the rear of the building. There's no equipment as far as like,
The spaces that are up against the front of the building, are they gonna be for customers?
those would be for customer use for the storage.
Any display there also, or?
Of equipment will not be against the building, just up at the road.
Okay. Great, the building's been sitting stagnant for a while.
Yeah, it was quite deplorable when we got it. We've done quite a bit of renovation to it just to get it to a decent standard, and then quite a bit more to go still.
So it's good to see it get some use.
What's your time frame for opening?
If we had approval, we would have a retail space. We have a temporary showroom in there right now that we've done nothing with. It's pretty much just there so that if we did approval, we could do that. As far as fully building out for the storage facility, we're looking at probably close to a year for the entire facility to be done. It will have an elevator inside of it, which was previously built in there but never finished, so there's quite a bit of work to bring the building back up to standard and get it going.
I'm a little confused. We're talking about outdoor storage of commercial vehicles, but it sounds like we're talking about indoor storage somewhere. Is the building, can you straighten me out a little bit on this? Is the building going to house large construction equipment? Is there going to be vehicles parked outside all the time?
It's just for household storage inside, so consumer goods, someone that moves into the area that needs somewhere to store a few extra items.
Yeah.
They'll have self-storage rooms inside. There'll be no vehicles inside the building.
Oh.
It'll all be for household storage itself. Outside the building, the thing that would be stored would be our equipment for moving trucks that are going to facilitate those move-ins coming into the area.
Are they quite big?
U-Haul rents up to 26-foot trucks. I'm limiting nothing larger than our 20-foot to be allowed to come into the facility other than unloading. The location down the street with 2 access points and entry and exit points would have the larger equipment down there, which is where that's generally rented from. That store is so congested because it's so busy that this alleviates the stress of people waiting in line and just the overall use of that facility itself too.
This driveway also has a light at it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so it'll help access to it.
Correct. Yeah, it's directly across the street from Home Depot.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone like to talk to us about it? Seeing none, we'll close the case, and we will take a 5-minute break.
Thank you.
Crest Drive. This is a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make a motion with respect to this application? Hearing none, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for the fence with the following findings. The installation of this fence will not bring about any change in the character of the neighborhood. It will help to preserve it as a peaceful residential neighborhood where the residents can use their yard in a relative degree of privacy. There is no alternative that would not require a variance because of the fact that this lot is a peninsula lot. The rules that normally apply would preclude any kind of a fence of that height at any location on the property. It is not a substantial request. It will not wall off a large portion of the yard. It really only is going to continue the two existing wall lines, and where they meet, the area that's encompassed by that is what will be afforded privacy for the resident. It will not have any adverse effect on the physical or environmental conditions. It is not a self-created situation at all. The way the house was built on the lot in conjunction with the town code does not allow for any privacy whatsoever at any point on that lot, and even inside the house, you'd need to close all the blinds in order to have privacy inside, so.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to mention that I was positively impressed with the applicant's desire to soften the look.
Thank you.
That tells me something about the commitment to the quality of the neighborhood. So I'm going to support this myself. And let that out of the bag early, you know.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, and we are all present. Next item on the agenda relates to the application for consent to store and display some small trucks and equipment out in front of the property at 1106 East Ridge Road. This is also a type 2 action for seeker purposes. Does anyone wish to make an application with respect to this matter?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we support this request being asked by the board. Now, this isn't actually a variance, is it?
No, this is consent.
Consent. That's what I meant to say. That we put our stamp of approval on this, so to speak, and consent to to this project because of the fact that it will enhance that whole neighborhood around that part of Ridge Road commercially. It'll solve a big problem for the company, giving them additional space for what they have to do there and taking the pressure off the other location. And I think the town of Arundecoit overall will benefit when a company like that can survive, thrive, and do well in this town.
I second
So,
that.
just, the board will have to do seeker for this one, it's an unlisted action.
Oh, it's an unlisted action?
Yes,
Do we have a form?
it doesn't look like that it was included here. The applicant did fill out a short form environmental, they did an environmental assessment form because the planning board reviewed it, but you'll just have to issue your own negative declaration before issuing any approval.
Did the planning board conclude that it was a negative?
They did for their purposes.
I would make a
Can adopt
motion
their
then that
findings.
we adopt the findings that were made by the planning board and issue a negative declaration. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain. I haven't seen the stuff from the planning board.
Okay. So 6 votes in favor, no opposed, 1 abstention.
I would just like to add, second everything Russ had said about the fact that it's nice to see that the the company is thriving so much that they can expand. It's nice to see that Ridge Road East is drawing in more businesses. It is a commercial area. It's not going to affect the look. Their other building is nicely kept and nice appearance out front. So anything that would help the town of Arundequoit, Ridge Road East, thrive, I'm in favor of, along with the rest of us.
Amen. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. We need a second first. Did anyone second that motion?
I'll second again.
You seconded it. Okay. I thought you seconded the,
I did the declaration, I thought Mike made, did you do second the other?
all right, well, I got you down now for second
Okay.
vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries, 7 votes in favor, no opposed, no abstentions. And I believe that concludes our agenda, and we are adjourned.